Good morning, MLB Pro Universe. Well, I guess it's not morning for you, Jim. How are you today?
I'm gonna consider this morning. I'm still not awake, and yeah, 12:16. We'll call it morning. I'm good.
There you go. It's only 10:16 here on the West Coast, so it's still really morning for me. Uh, so let's look a little bit about 2022. How do you think that went for the Tigers? Because you made a drastic improvement, like 24 games from
People said
2021.
some people said that couldn't be done. I won't name their names, but
Hmm.
probably
Go ahead, name their names.
probably Kaiser. I'm pretty sure he said it couldn't be done.
Hmm.
Pretty sure. No, I think last year was awesome. Do we really improve 24 games? It seems like almost a record if it wasn't for the Orioles.
Yeah, you went from 66 wins in 2021 to 90 wins in 2022.
That feels great. Well, I think like I said to you in chat, it felt like a disappointment because we accidentally got into the playoff race there at the end and then lost out at the very end to the Twins, and that part didn't feel great. So it felt like a more disappointing season than it actually was, probably because my expectations were pretty high.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple times last year, and I told you you were probably going to compete for a playoff race last year, and you said no. So I'm glad I made one prediction that came true last year.
Exactly.
So good. So how else? I mean, how do you think you improved the 24 games? Is there like a secret to your madness, or what
Secret to
transpired to
the
make that
man.
happen?
My goodness. Um, it really felt like the entire thing just kind of came together last year. Arenado, who we signed as a free agent, was obviously a huge part of that. I mean, he bolstered the middle part of the lineup. Um, he was the guy that kind of made things go. I felt like Noonan was kind of the same old Noonan playing first base for us. I felt like the acquisition of Devin Lewis from Washington for Victor Robles. It didn't turn out exactly how we thought, but that part of the lineup there, the kind of the 2, 3, 4 spots were excellent. And I felt like the even the bottom of the order wasn't bad. So a lot of the improvement I think did come from just putting a lot more offense out on the board. We did get better pitching as well. Liberatore was Liberatore, and Cody did mostly Kyle Cody things, probably more of the things that the rest of the league expects from him rather than what I was hoping for. But even like struggling through, I think we lost 4/5 of our rotation at one point last year. Um, it just felt like I said, everything kind of came together. Jason Groom threw like 100+ innings of just crazy good baseball. Yeah, I really liked all facets of it. So the rotation was better, the lineup was noticeably better, and the bullpen I think went from being kind of an albatross to something that we could really count on. Tewksbury stepped in; he was a great closer. Groom and Muller were great in set up and stopper roles.
So do you blame Chris Scalise for your fall off at the end and you not winning the division?
We don't talk about Chris Scalise.
No, we don't. All right, so let's put 2022 in the past and let's start talking about 2023. You have a lot of the same players in your rotation that you had last year, or at least according to what I can see on your pitching rotation page. How do you see your starting rotation stacking up this year?
I'm really hoping that Jason Dumont, former number one prospect Jason Dumont, actually steps up and kind of supplants Cody as the number three. I think if Cody and Weimer are the fourth and fifth guys, that's a great back end of the rotation. And if Dumont's as good as Scalise and Liberatore, that makes a really, really tasty little rotation there. Um, and these guys can go somewhat deep. I'm probably trying to limit the depth a little bit more now that I feel like the bullpen's better, but um, I've got high hopes for that rotation, and maybe there's another leap there for Liberatore. I don't see it personally, but he's still super solid.
Yeah, well, you keep saying Scalise is good, but I remember last year in the chat room after you got him, you just dissed him the rest of the year because he did not perform very well in 2022 for the Tigers.
Oh yeah, he was quite awesome. Oregon
3-8
kind of
with
didn't
a
have it.
7.26 ERA. Yeah, that was
I think at one
painful to
point
watch.
he had given up more homers than he had strikeouts, but yeah,
Well, it has
it
to
was
get
rough.
better, right?
It has to.
Okay, so
Theoretically, he's happy.
yeah, there you go. Better. Let's move over to your bullpen. I know you have Tewksbury listed as your closer, and he did some great stuff last year. Then he struggled a little bit too. You have confidence in him?
Yeah, so Tewksbury is an interesting guy. He's gonna be kind of a higher whip type guy. You're not gonna see him with like a sub one whip. He's gonna put guys on base, but he strikes out so many guys. He's got nasty stuff. We do like to keep him in that traditional role of just going an inning and having it be the ninth when we need him. The interesting part though is that Groom almost plays more more of a closer than Tewksbury at times, just with the number of shutout innings he throws, ahead of even Tewksbury getting into the game. Or sometimes we don't even see Tewksbury unless it's a very traditional, one of the setup guys is fatigued and it's just a seventh, eighth, ninth situation. You just see Groom going out there for the eighth and ninth or seventh, eighth, ninth quite a bit too.
Well, yeah, he had 74 appearances last year and 132 innings pitched. That's pretty impressive from a relief pitcher. Go back to the Dan Tewksbury days in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, exactly. And Groom walks his fair share of guys too, but again, he really clamps down with the strikeouts.
Yeah, and I see that you have Groom and Kyle Mueller as stoppers.
I do. That's kind of how I rolled them out at the end of last season too. I felt like they're both coming from kind of that starting pitching background. I feel like they have the stamina to do it. I feel like Mueller was great in the relief role. I think his overall stats don't look as great when you look at them in aggregate, but if you split them out and you look at it, he was great as a reliever.
Yeah, I was just checking that out too. But so yeah, that would be a good role for him. And like you said, he has the stamina. Do you see any holes in your bullpen that you want to address?
Not really. We didn't really go out and sign anyone. If I recall correctly, it's the same cast of guys from last year. I think it's 100% veterans coming back through. Mason's in there, Pico's in there, Penrice, who came up at the end of the year. These are all guys who are going to be in the bullpen for us. We have a bunch of guys sitting at AAA too who can fill in when need be, that have been up and down as well. So I think the bullpen's pretty set. We didn't even feel like we needed to add a piece there.
And if something happens in your starting rotation, you get an injury or something like that, would you move somebody like Mueller or Groom over to start, or would you bring somebody up from AAA?
I guess it depends who it was. I let Groom try to have a couple starts last year. He didn't fare overly well. If it's a back end rotation guy, I'd be comfortable just bringing up Esute Moray, he's been up and down with us for the past couple of years. He could just kind of slot in and take some starts. If it's going to be some longer term thing, then yeah, I would probably actually maybe toss Mueller or Groom back into the rotation to see how they did. But I really don't want to deplete what I see as a strength in the bullpen by doing that. It could also be something where we just go out and try to acquire someone.
Right. Okay. Good. You seem like your pitching is on point and ready. So let's move over to your lineup. How do you see your lineup going? And are you going to have any position battles here in spring training?
I don't think there's a single position battle. All the starters are locked in. The way that we think of this is the infield looks the exact same as last year. So we got Rafael Luna to come back after acquiring him at the trade deadline from the Cubs. We liked his glove. We felt like he really improved the defense up the middle. So we kept him. Around the infield, it looks the same as last year. It's Devin Lewis, Xavier Noonan, Raul Aguilera, Nolan Arenado. And the outfield, this is where I was saying it's kind of four starters. Lucas Edgar, who you're familiar with, Enrique Bradfield, who everyone in the league should be familiar with after me talking about him obsessively for years. Joe Sherburne, and then the veteran Ricardo Rosa, who actually think he's the two-time stolen base champ in the AL back-to-back years with 59 and 60 steals. He's
Mhm.
just going to kind of slot in and play all over. Defensively, he's not as great as those other three, and we're really putting an emphasis on this fly ball defense with these kind of fly ball pitchers we have in this big park. So we're going to let Sherburne, who's I think maybe even still technically rookie of the year eligible, going to let him have a chance to fail out there in right field, and Bradfield's going to take over in center, and we're just going to see what happens. If one of those guys doesn't work out, then we'll plop Barossa in and let him play a little bit more.
Well, you also have Jake Venables. I know right now you have him slotted as a DH. Is that where you really see him, or do you see him capable of playing in the outfield?
He's not going back to the outfield. He can play there a little bit. We moved Keston Hura specifically to give Venables full-time DH at bats. We don't really even need to mess around with him in the outfield. I mean, he can go out there and play, but I think the defense is strongest when we have Bradfield and Sherburne out there. I mean, Sherburne looks like a guy who's like a Gold Glove caliber defender.
Yeah, so during spring training, might you give some Venables some starts in center and right to just try to see if his defense will increase in case you need him?
No, Edgar might get some time in right just to bolster his comfortability there. I mean, he's not the most adaptable guy. We threw him in center last year and thought maybe he'd progress a little bit more out there in center, but he wasn't a liability, but he wasn't great. Venables would kind of end up being the same sort of thing. I mean, Venables was great if you need a guy to start out there and left once in a while, but Edgar again in left field is basically like a Gold Glove caliber guy.
Yes, I know. So, how do you like set your lineup? Do you do it yourself? Do you let the computer manager do it? Do you prefer speed at the top and power? I mean,
Oh
how
yeah,
do you construct?
I'm a little traditional. I think I like a little speed at the top. I mean, you can see just with roster construction with having both Edgar and Rosa, we do run. We kind of limit who gets to run, but those guys pretty much have the green light all the time. I think we let Aguilera run quite a bit last year, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he like stole maybe 18 bases and never got caught, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah, he stole 16 bases and no caught stealings. That's pretty impressive.
So we try to be pretty judicious with what we do there. But the lineup stays pretty much how it is all the time. We don't really tinker much. We don't play with the lineup very frequently. The only thing I did last year was I let Edgar and Rosa kind of flip flop between the 1 hole and the 6 hole, just kind of depending on who was hot. Same thing will probably happen this year, but Noonan, Lewis, Arenado, Venables, Aguilera in the 2 through 6, they're just going to sit there all the time.
Well, it worked too, right? So why mess with it?
I hope to not mess with anything. It did work.
So do you see any prospects making a major contribution in 2023 for the Tigers?
Oh man, prospects. I miss the days of being a rebuilding team and having prospects.
Yeah, where are those?
Oh, they're gone. You know, that's the funny thing. And like, you know, I've heard Breton complain about this of late. Our system sucks. Yeah, it's because your major league team is good, and you know you have to kind of have to go with that. Our prospects, they're all at like A or rookie, like our best guys. We traded away Kloffenstein to the Pirates to get Scalise. G. Scott Jr. went in that deal as well. Those were the only 2 guys that would have even been close to touching the majors. I guess Dumont is technically still considered a prospect, though I don't consider him that way. And same with Enrique Bradfield. So I guess Bradfield's kind of the one guy where you could say, okay, this is the prospect who could make an impact this year. I mean, we're penciling him in to start in center field and don't really have a backup plan at this point other than throwing Lucas Edgar back into center. But yeah, nobody else. I don't even see I don't see anyone above A-ball in our system that we really consider, you know, somebody who's going to make an impact at the major league level.
So you're looking at 2 or 3 years down the road before somebody like Sawyer Robertson
can
make an impact.
Termar Johnson. Yeah. I mean, even Hershiser, who we got in trade this offseason, we really like him. He looks like he can move quick, but it's not going to be that quick.
So that brings me to the other question for you is how do you determine when a prospect should go up to the next level? Or are you keep him at one level for almost a whole year before you move him up? Or do you go, this guy's stats look good, so I'm going to move him up now?
I think I mismanaged this for so many years that now I've gotten to the point where I kind of let guys sit a little bit longer. I bet you that I'm still on the aggressive side of things. So I do like to move guys once they've had a couple hundred at bats or 40 or 50 innings pitching, and they look like they're dominating the level. I generally try to push them. So Enrique Bradfield was a example of that. He probably got, I think the most at bats he got was in AAA, where he got 353 at bats, and he still put up a really good line down there. He only got, I think I only had him up for the last series of the season last year. So
Yeah.
but it's been pretty aggressive for the most part. But I think I've cooled how quickly I moved some guys. I always kind of wondered if Venables could have progressed a little bit more steadily had I not been flipping him all over the place.
Yeah. Live and learn, right?
Yep.
We'll see how that goes. So the Detroit Tigers were, we talked about it earlier, probably the surprise team of 2024 by making, or 2022 by making 24 game improvement. Is there a team that you look at this year who might follow in the Tigers' footsteps and do that this year?
That was a great question.
Because Cincinnati made a good improvement from last year.
I didn't see that. I'll be honest, I didn't see that coming at all. I wasn't really looking though, because we know how I feel about the NL. I was hyped on the Rays last year as well, more so than even the Orioles. I think if there's a team that I see making a jump, maybe maybe the Mets, just on like more of a rebound than anything. I don't know. What do you see? You see any teams making a jump?
I hope it's me, but yeah, it's been one of those things that it's hard. I see Kansas City making a good improvement from last year, especially with a couple of the additions that they made. But with you and Rocky there at the top of the division, that might be hard for them to crack that. So
yeah, Chappie could have a little rebound. I mean, he just kind of took like a soft step back after having a pretty decent sized jump forward the previous year.
mhm.
Yeah, you've got your work cut out for you in the West. Like, I only don't throw your name in there just because the West is so tough.
It is, but with the balanced schedule this year, do you think that's going to make a big difference on some of the races?
It's gotta make at least a couple game difference here and there, right? It's not no difference, but it's probably not a huge difference.
Well, maybe a bigger difference for us in the West that we don't have to face the Angels in Houston and Seattle so many times.
That is a gauntlet. I don't wish that upon anyone, especially myself.
So, yeah, exactly. And I willingly went over there. So, do you have a bold prediction for 2023, whether it has something to do with the Tigers or some other team?
Let's see. Yeah, probably. I think I'm gonna take this back. I'm gonna walk this back. I'm gonna answer the other question again, because I do think that the Cubs have the right pieces in place to make some kind of a jump forward. I really like the lineup there. I'm not entirely certain that pitching staff is the one that's going to get them there, but I think that if any team that was kind of a lower team last year is going to make a jump, I think it's probably the Cubs, to be honest. In terms of bold prediction, man, that would be fun. I'll make a Tigers bold prediction just because I've not been as clued into the entire league as much. I'll say that Dumont comes out in his first full season and throws 150 innings and wins 15 games. I think that would be that'd be huge for this club, and I think he's got it in him. He looks like he's ready to do it.
So, are you willing to make the bold prediction that you overtake Minnesota this year?
Yeah, I think Minnesota will finish third in the division.
Third. All
Third.
right, so let's go over your division then. How do you see your division stacking up this year?
Um, I do see us winning this division. I think it's just time that we've won. It's our time. It's our chance. You know what? I'm gonna throw the White Sox into second place. I don't know, something just about how he manages those teams, and I feel like that team might just surprise a little bit. I'm looking at the Twins and just feel like at some point there has to be a step back. I don't know. Maybe it's my Twins hate.
So okay, so that means you're predicting the Royals to be fourth place?
Yeah, I think that they'll battle the Twins. I think that the Royals and Twins, third, fourth, somewhere in there. And then I'm going to throw Cleveland at the back.
See, I think you could have very easily made your bold prediction saying the Twins for third place.
Well, okay, throw it on. Bold prediction: Twins in third place. I think if things don't go right, and they've already talked about shopping Gary Copeland, maybe he moves at some point, and they just they retool a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't still like the team. It's still a good team. Giolito is still ridiculously tough. The rest of the rotation still looks good. Um, I've just never been, a huge fan of the Twins.
Okay. So how big of a difference do you think the DH is going to make in the National League this year?
I mean, it should make somewhat of a difference. I think we kind of saw how that played out in real life. Um, just in terms of management of the roster, I think is probably the biggest difference.
Do you see a time, whether it's this year or in the future, that the National League wins a World Series?
Never.
Never. Okay, National League fans, you
I'm
heard
gonna
it right there.
I'm gonna say if a team's gonna do it, I still feel like sorry, Brendan. I still feel like it's the Diamondbacks. Sorry, Cole. Sorry, uh, anyone else that's in the NL. I still feel like that team is just really stacked. I just feel like the AL just has this dominance.
So who do you see making it to the World Series this year?
You
I know you want to predict yourself. I can see
want to
it.
predict myself. You know what? I'm gonna throw some jinx out there instead, though. So I'm gonna say the World Series will feature Baltimore and Arizona.
Baltimore, and that's the first I've heard Baltimore's name mentioned.
That's only because I
There-
don't want them to go to the World Series. So
Oh, is that
this
what
is
it
where the
is?
jinx comes in.
So then, if you're going to jinx somebody, you should have said Rocky in the Twins.
I don't have to worry about him. He won't even be in the playoffs.
Oh, oh, there goes, the hook right there. Uh, Usually, the way I end these is I ask you to kind of introduce yourself, tell the MLB Pro Universe what you do for a living, and if you want to mention somebody that might be on a trade block or something that you're looking for, so somebody knows how to get a hold of you and what to
Oh yeah.
bring to you.
Find me on Slack at all times. You can chat with me about whatever you'd like. Like I said, right now I'm a little bit more away than normal, but always open to stuff. In terms of trade block, I mean, if we're gonna if we're gonna have depth, it's gonna be around pitching, but we've kind of discussed around that we really want to kind of keep that where it's at. We kind of moved the bat we wanted to move, so I don't think there's a ton there. So if you're looking to make a deal with us, it's probably going to be for a prospect at this point, just where we're at, with uh,
Well,
our
what
window.
prospect do you have that you can offer? You're pretty
You
thin.
can, yeah, you can look at the top. I'm not afraid to deal the guys on the top. I mean, it's basically it's Termar and it's Sawyer. That's basically who you've got to pick from. I don't think that there's a ton of interest below those top couple of guys. Nelson Guerrero looks neat, but he's super young. And after that, it's just guys who are guys. There's not a ton to offer. It's kind of the not
Well,
fun
not
part of the cycle.
yeah, and not everybody could be the Angels in Seattle that has a deep major league team and a deep farm system
That's what
at
I
the same
said.
time.
Systems are for bad teams and the Angels. Maybe Seattle too. I haven't actually looked at Seattle in a while. But just to answer your other question about professional life stuff, yeah, I'm a data scientist during my day job. I still really like digging into data in general. I don't do it quite as much with the game anymore, but anytime there's anything intriguing um, that's cool for analysis, I always like to look at it. My other fun hobby, and I've mentioned this in Slack a couple times, is a little treasure hunt called The Secret, a book published in 1982 with 12 treasures buried in 12 cities, of which 3 have been found to this day. And I've been working on the other 9 for quite some time. I've taken one trip to Charleston, and I'm trying to take another trip, probably to New Orleans at some point to look for that one. But
Hey, don't give your secrets away to the MLB universe. They may beat you there.
they might, but you know, I, I'll just say, hey, if you want to talk about data or treasure hunts, I'm in.
Awesome. So is there any other question maybe I didn't ask you that you want to put out there, or anything else you want to add to the end of this before we sign off?
Yeah, you didn't ask me if we were going to win 100 games, and I'll tell you that I think it's going to be close, but probably not 100.
But I did ask you if you're going to win the division.
You did, convincingly.
Yes. Oh, convincingly. Okay, so let's talk about that. What does convincingly mean to you?
5 games or more.
5 games or more. All right. So any last words, any words you want to say to Rocky before we sign off?
Nah, I love Rocky. I hope the Twins do great.
Except for against Detroit.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we'll sign off here. I'll stay on and chat with you for just a minute, Jim, once I hit stop. All right. Thank you for joining in for All About the Tigers.
Oh, yeah.